Hey guys, Jeremy here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're watching this, that probably means that you're thinking about buying a home in the near or distant future. Now, if you didn't notice, we're kind of changing things up a bit. I'm doing some renovations at my condo, and I don't really have a nice background to use because everything's a mess. So I decided to use my guitar as some props, so enjoy my guitar while you're watching this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jeremy Mateo and I'm a real estate broker here in Hawaii. I post a lot of real estate videos about real estate here in Hawaii, as well as real estate videos for people who are buying and selling real estate, and videos for people who are real estate agents or thinking about becoming a real estate agent as well. Now, before I say anything, I just want to say that this video isn't meant to persuade you to buy a home or trying to sell you anything. I just wanted to make this video because I've been getting a lot of questions about how the home buying process works, so I figured why not make a video. My goal with this video is so that for people like you watching at home can get a better understanding of how the process works step by step from start to finish. What this video will explain is not only how to buy a home and the process of it step by step, but also it'll mention everything you need to have in order with your life and with your financials in order to make this happen. So let's get started. Step one. So the first thing you need to do before you even think about buying a home is you need to press the like button and subscribe. It really helps out my channel with the YouTube algorithm. No, but really though, step one is you need to find a real estate agent. I suggest looking for someone who is well experienced, who has a couple sales under their belt and know what they're doing. However, if you have a friend that's a real estate agent and you want to support them, but they're kind of new, believe it or not, I kind of encourage that as well. Speaking from the real estate agent perspective, when I started my career, it was very difficult to, get people to work with me because I was young and I was new. And I know some people might not recommend, going with a friend, but honestly speaking, when I started, I was that friend trying to get my other friends to, tell people to use me, or my friends themselves to use me as a real estate agent. So if you have a friend that's in the business and you'd like to support them, the best thing I could say is, tell them upfront, like, hey, I would love to have you as my real estate agent. I know you're kind of new and I want to support you. However, would it be okay if we had maybe like a veteran or a mentor to help both of us throughout this process? In the perspective of your friend that's a new agent, they would gladly accommodate because, they're starting out and they're trying to start their career, so they want to help you and you're their friend also. And I think it's just a win-win situation because you're looking to buy a home and you're supporting your friend, and your friend is getting experience and you're helping them kickstart their career, while at the same time, you're having less stress because there's a veteran or a mentor guiding both of you guys throughout the process. Now, once you found your real estate agent, you've officially started the process. Now, if you're like most people, you're gonna need a loan to buy this home because not everyone has hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank ready to buy a property all cash. But if you do, give me a call. Now, this source of lending could be either a bank or a loan officer or broker or whatever. Now, I'm just gonna speak from my experience. It could be very different from someone else, but I felt like with my clients, when they dealt with a bank, it's a little harder to deal with the process. It takes longer and they're not aware of what's going on every step of the way. And me personally, I like to make sure that myself and my clients are aware of what's going on every single step of the way. As a first-time homebuyer, it could be a little scary going through this process because it's your first time. So when you go through this, in my experience, I felt that having a loan officer is much more of a pleasant experience because you get to have that one-on-one interaction and they can explain everything to you and what's going on every step of the way. And that's just with me and the loan officers I deal with. So now once you found your lender, they're gonna ask you for a couple of documents depending on who they are. These documents are basically just to verify a couple of things, but basically they want three main things. So the first thing you'll need for a lender is you're gonna need documented income. I'm gonna repeat that again, documented income. So basically everything you file on your tax returns. The reason I put emphasis on that is because if you have a side hustle or a job where you have tips and you don't claim any of those tips, you can't use that income to qualify you for your loan. And generally, the more income that you claim, the higher of a price point of a loan you can qualify for. So let's say you made $100,000 and it's all cash, but you didn't claim any of it. You can't use any of that income to qualify you for your loan. So to the banks, it's almost as if you made nothing at all. Also, and a quick tip is that generally a lender is going to expect that the income you're using to qualify you is coming from the job that you've been working at for a minimum of 2 years. So if you've been waiting to buy a home and you've been working at a place for 1.5 years and you switch jobs, you cannot use any of that income and you're gonna have to start all over from scratch and start the 2 years again. I've had some clients where they're working as a server and they had to wait for 2 years, and right when it was about like 1.6 years, they went and switched jobs and they had to start all over again. So that's something to keep in mind. The second thing you're gonna need to show the lender is your source of down payment. The amount of your down payment can vary depending on which loan you use. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, you can use like an FHA loan or a conventional loan where the minimum down payment is only 3 to 5%. Now, the only downside to putting less than 20% down is that you need to pay something called PMI, or private mortgage insurance. PMI is basically to insure the lender just in case you for some reason don't pay off your loan. PMI is a small percentage of the loan, which can be paid all upfront, or it could be paid in small monthly payments along with your mortgage. Now, if you are a veteran or someone who has served in the military, if and when you're VA eligible, you could use the VA loan, which allows you to buy a home with 0% down. Now, we've got a lot to cover, so I'm gonna go to the next step, but I did make a video before that goes more in depth about these loans and their down payment, and I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Now, last but not least, the third thing you're gonna need to buy a home is good credit. Now, the lowest credit I've seen someone successfully buy a home was 680, but they didn't really have the most ideal interest rate. Ideally, you want to be above 700, more so 720. If you're above 750, then you're awesome. All right, so step 3 is you want to start browsing for homes online, whether it's Zillow.com, Realtor.com, or maybe a custom website that your agent's company made. Whatever it is, they all get their information from MLS. The point is you just want to start browsing and seeing what's out there. Now, a common question I usually get is, hey Jeremy, I'm looking in this area. Do you have any listings in this area, or are you selling any homes in this area? Now, the answer is technically no, but the way it works is that you're the buyer and I represent you as the buyer, and other agents can put their listings in the market and you're free to buy whatever you want. It's just that when you buy it, I represent you as the buyer. Does that make sense? Now, when you're browsing these homes online, you should have a vision and you should, take note of things that you like, and you have to ask yourself, what is most important to you in your home? Is it size? Is it neighborhood? Does it have to have a pool, or it doesn't need a pool, but it just has to have space for 3 parking stalls? One thing you have to keep in mind is that when you're looking, there is no perfect home with everything you want. Well, I take that back. Don't expect to find a home that has everything you want. If you do find a home that has everything you want, then congrats, you're not a picky buyer. And I have worked with some picky buyers, but you really just need to think what is most important to you. If you're going around and seeing a lot of homes and it's been a couple months and you find only one home that maybe checks out 4 of the 5 boxes that you want, I suggest you go and buy that home. All right, step 4, you want to go to showings and open houses, or basically see these homes in person. Now, big shocker, not everything on the internet looks the same in person. I've had clients where we go on showings and they give me a list from 1 to 5, 1 is being the best and 5 is being the least best. And when we go there, the number 5th option ends up being their most favorite, and the first option ends up not being so pretty as what it looked like in the pictures on the MLS. And not to mention, this is a great way to get a sense of the neighborhood, your neighbors, your streets, and just to see what stores are nearby and how it feels like to live in that area. Now, after seeing a bunch of homes in person, this is where you need to actually decide what you want.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
And my best tip, if you have a lot of options, I suggest using process of elimination with priorities in mind. All right, so you've narrowed it down and now you have the home that you like. It's time for step 5. Step 5 is when you need to make an offer and or negotiate. This is where your real estate agent is going to write up an offer and send to the sellers. This is basically the time for your real estate agent to shine and try to get the best deal for you. Now keep in mind, if you're putting an offer on a property and there's multiple offers, chances are you don't have room to negotiate. So that's when you need to ask yourself, how bad do you want this property? Are you willing to pay list price for it? If so, then submit that offer. Or are you okay with walking away? Then if so, then just keep looking. Now when you submit an offer, in the event that you get your offer accepted, you need to be prepared to give your initial deposit. Now this initial deposit can be whatever amount you like. Most of the initial deposits of my clients are just $1,000. This initial deposit is basically to show that you have some skin in the game and that you're serious about buying this property. And most of the time, this initial deposit is included in your down payment. So let's say you're buying a home for $300,000 and your down payment is 5%. That comes out to $15,000 and your initial deposit is $1,000. You submit your offer and you get accepted. You need to give $1,000 to escrow right at the beginning. Now the remaining amount of your down payment is just $14,000. Now this down payment of $14,000 isn't due all up front. You don't need it until the very end when your lender asks you for the remaining of the down payment. So don't worry about giving your entire down payment in the beginning of escrow. Just make sure you have it. All right, so that brings us to our next step. Step 6, you enter escrow. Now the escrow period is a 30 to 45 day process, or it could be longer if there's delays, but typically around the 30 to 45 day range. This is basically the time when the lender or the bank needs to process your loan, and it takes a couple of weeks to make that happen. This is also the time where you need to do your due diligence, or what I like to call digging up the dirt. In escrow, there are different periods of times known as contingencies made to protect you as the buyer. One example is the home inspection. One of the first things you do when you go into escrow is you hire a home inspector to inspect the home from top to bottom, inside and out, to see if there's anything wrong with the property. So let's say your home inspection period is 10 days. That contingency means that you have 10 days from the day that there's an accepted offer to conduct all inspections and, if needed, to request any remedies from the seller. We have these contingencies because you want to know what you're getting yourself into, and you want to know exactly what you're buying, because this is probably the biggest investment of your life so far. Because God forbid that you move in, you buy the house, and all of a sudden there's a fire because the electrical panel was old and the wiring wasn't up to code. The job of the home inspector is basically to see if there's anything wrong with the home. Now, if you do find something wrong with the home, you could do one of 3 things. 1, you can request the seller gives you money to fix these problems. 2, you can request for the seller to fix the problem themselves. Or 3, if you both just can't come to an agreement, you can cancel and you will fall out of escrow, but you'll still get your initial deposit back, as long as you do that before the 10-day period is up. However, these things that you're requesting from the seller have to be serious things that relate to, safety hazard, or, perhaps that are non-functioning. You can't request from the seller to, repaint the walls or redo the floors, or change all the light bulbs. So that's just one example of a contingency. As you go through the entire escrow process, there are different types of inspections and contingencies where basically the seller is supposed to disclose everything that they know about the property, and it's up to you to decide if you want to proceed or if you want to cancel. So after the entire escrow process is done, you have closed and you're officially a homeowner. So step 7 is move in. So there you have it. That is the entire home buying process from start to finish. If you already bought a home and what I said was kind of different, I was just generalizing, from my experiences. If your experience was different, then there's 100 ways to skin a cat, as long as you get the job done and you become a homeowner. If you guys enjoyed the video, please press the like button and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. And if you have any suggestions on what topics you want me to discuss, please drop it in the comments below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.